everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're preparing for your cabin crew assessment day, or if you're thinking about applying to become cabin crew, then you've definitely come to the right place. This video is all about the cabin crew assessment day and what you need to do to get through it. I've worked for 3 different airlines now and passed 3 different assessment days, so I think I've probably got quite a good idea on how to pass the day. Also, make sure you stick around for the end of the video where I'll be sharing some bonus tips to get you some extra credit at your assessment day. Tip number 1, do your research. You're going to go to the interview and they're going to ask you lots of questions about the airline, so make sure you know about the company that you're applying for. Think about stats, facts and figures, destinations, all of that kind of stuff. Also, have a plan of why you want to work for the airline. Be really specific with this. Don't just go into why you want to be cabin crew. It needs to be specific of why you want to work for that particular airline. Be prepared with some great examples about times that you've done that little bit extra for your customers. And make sure you know what it takes to be a good cabin crew member. They're probably going to ask you questions like, what's involved in the role of cabin crew, what's special about cabin crew, what do you need to do to be a great cabin crew member. So be prepared for that one. Tip number 2, take everything that you're going to need on the day. Check the email that the company sent to you. This is going to have a list of everything that you need to take with you. Some examples might be your passport for them to scan. You might need a CRB check. Sometimes you need that, sometimes you don't. But make sure you really read that email. There will be a section that they send out to you. Make sure you pack it in a bag and take it with you. Do not do what I did on one occasion and forget to take it. It's so embarrassing. You honestly don't want to do that. Tip number 3, dress to impress. You need to remember that the recruiters are looking for people to represent their airline. Cabin crew are always the face of the airline. We're always in the videos, we're always in the adverts and the posters, and obviously you're seen walking through the airport and walking up and down the aisles. So they want somebody who represents the airline in a way that they want to be represented. You need to make sure you're wearing business dress and you're neatly and well put together. Also, make sure for the girls you're going to have some makeup on, your nails are going to be neatly polished. Really just make sure that you're well put together. Boys, make sure you're clean shaven and you just look neat and tidy. That's the main thing, just be neat and tidy. Make sure you look like you've woken up in the morning and you're meant to be wearing what you're wearing. Don't turn up looking a mess. Just please don't do that. If you want some more information about how to dress for your interview, make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon, because my next video is actually going to be talking through more detail about what exactly you should wear for your assessment day. Tip number 4, be on time. Oh my gosh, I cannot stress this enough. Working for an airline is all about punctuality. If the plane doesn't take off on time, it costs an absolute fortune. So if your first impression is being late, that's really not what they want to see. I would suggest turning up 15 to 30 minutes before the start time of the day. You quite often need to check in. Sometimes they'll want to scan your documents. They might need to give you a badge which will need printing. There's all kinds of things that happen actually before the day starts, so make sure you're there in time for that. Tip number 5, make friends with the people who are there with you. Don't be that person that sits in the corner on their phone ignoring everybody. You might not realise it, but you are being watched for the whole day. There's always recruiters watching, whether you know it or not. Sometimes, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there is rumours that go around that they actually plant moles in the assessment day. So one of the people that you think is applying for the job might actually already work for the company. It might be true, it might not be, I don't know, but that's something I've heard in the past. So make sure you're engaging with the group, you're making friends with everybody, you're including people who look like they're left out, and avoid any dodgy topics. So don't talk about politics or religion or any of those unsafe conversations. You really don't want to be treading on touchy ground and falling out with people on your assessment day. Just don't. Just keep it simple. Weather is a good one. Number 6, make sure you're listening to the recruiters. You need to make sure you're listening. The companies have put a lot of money into these assessment days. They've spent a lot of time creating the day, trying to get the best out of the candidates. So just pay a little bit of respect and make sure you're listening to the recruiters. If somebody starts speaking, stop talking, stop the conversation that you're having within your group and pay attention to the person that's speaking to you. They're probably giving you some really useful information, and also it's just a bit of respect. They don't want to see people who aren't paying attention on the day. You need to take it seriously if you really want to be there, and they want people who want to be there. So just zip it. Body language. Now this is so important. I think it's like, I read something and it's like 70% of the way we come across is in our body language. It's not the words that you're saying, it's not necessarily the way that you say it, but it's the body language that you're holding when you're saying the things that you're saying. So make sure you've got a nice open body, you're not folding your arms, don't stand with your hands on your hips, just be open and ready, sit upright, don't slouch in your chair because that just looks like you're bored. Also make sure you're making really good eye contact with the recruiter, and when you're speaking to them and listening to them, be engaged in the conversation and just be open to the conversation. It just makes you look more interested, and yeah, it looks better. Oh, and smile. Make sure you look like you're happy to be there. That's so important. You should be thrilled. You've made it through a really grueling process and you're at the final stage, potentially. So look like you're happy to be there. They want people who are happy to be there, and this cabin crew, you have to smile all day long, so you might as well start now. Have fun and be yourself. As I just said, you've probably beaten thousands of people to get to this stage. You've got to the assessment day because there's something in you that the company likes, and that's your personality. That's the only thing that makes you different from thousands of other people, and that's why you've been chosen. So make sure you're having fun with the day and showing that personality to the recruiters, because that's what they want to see. They want to see you. Don't just be a robot. Nobody likes a robot. As promised, my bonus tips. These are those little extra bits that you could do just to maybe cinch the deal and be a cut above the rest. Take a pen and paper with you. You will need to fill out a form. I have done every single time I've been for an assessment day. There's always a form to fill out, and it's just good to have a pen just in case. They usually have a pen behind the desk, but you never know. It's always best to be prepared. And take a bit of paper. You never know what you might need to write down, even if it's just somebody's number that you've met while you're there. Just take a pen and paper. It's always handy to have pen and paper. Talking about phones, turn it off before you walk into the building. Honestly, just turn it off, put it in your bag, forget about it, or your pocket if you don't have a bag. Just don't touch your phone. It's not worth it. If you've got a really important phone call that you need to take, mention it beforehand and tell them and ask if it's okay for you to take the call. Otherwise, just don't do it. It's not worth it. I always say as well, make sure to have some breakfast before you get to the assessment centre. You'll be really nervous, you'll be really stressed, and the last thing you want on top of all of that is for your stomach to be grumbling and you're just sat there thinking, oh my gosh, everybody can hear this, it's so embarrassing. Just don't do it. Even if it's just a cereal bar or a piece of toast, just have something to eat, please. Another tip that I think is a really great one is to take a glass or a bottle of water into the interview with you. So normally the final stage of an assessment day is a 2-to-1 or a 1-to-1 interview with the recruiter. And the little tip is if you take a bottle of water or a cup of water in with you, that gives you an extra moment. So let me show you. If you get asked a question and you just go, it gives you that extra couple of seconds just to think about your answer, rather than saying, oh, can I just have a minute to think about it? That makes you look unprepared. If you just have a sip of your water, that gives you a couple of seconds. Little sneaky tip there. Also, don't rush through your answers when you're giving them. There'll be somebody taking notes in the interview because they don't decide on the day. They go away and confer with other recruiters and come up with the best candidates for the role. So somebody is always taking notes throughout the day. So make sure when you're speaking, speak clearly and slowly, and not too slowly obviously, but concisely. Just make sure you're giving the note taker time to actually take the notes and they don't miss anything out, because you might say something really important and they might not have time to write it, and that's not what you want. So just take your time, have a deep breath and relax. For any ladies out there, make sure you take a spare pair of tights with you, because it's grooming standards to wear a pair of tights at basically every airline, and one of the requirements is that you don't have a ladder in your tights because it looks messy. So you never know, you might walk past a table or a chair that has a snag on it and you pull your tights and before you know it, you've got a ladder all the way down your legs and you just look a mess. So take a spare pair of tights, take 2 if you need to, just have spare tights with you in case you ladder, and if you're prone to laddering your tights, take as many as you think you'll need to get you through the full day. Also try to research the grooming standards of the airline that you are applying for, just to give you an idea of what kind of things you can wear, to maybe just show them that you do fit into that company and you will look great wearing their uniform. Speaking of grooming, don't forget, if you've found this video interesting, hit the subscribe button and the bell to get notified of when I create my next video, which is all about dressing for your assessment day.